This 300-pound overweight boy gets thrown into the gym by a group of bullies, instantly triggering loud laughter from the entire student body. Because of his size, he has no friends at school. But just as everyone laughs at him, Calvin takes off his jacket to help Bob ease the embarrassment. At this moment, Calvin doesn't know this small act of kindness will change his life. Unlike Bob, Calvin is hailed as the most promising student in the school's history. He is student body president, dates the most beautiful cheerleader, and even the principal admires him. But no one expects that after graduation, Calvin becomes just an ordinary accountant in a small firm, struggling for 20 years. The worst part? A high school reunion is coming up. As Calvin desperately thinks of an excuse to skip it, he suddenly receives a friend request. It's Bob, whom he hasn't seen in years. That night, Calvin meets Bob at a bar. But when Bob greets him, Calvin is shocked. Bob has changed completely. As they reminisce about the past, a group of drunk guys starts harassing Calvin while Bob is in the restroom. Calvin tries to avoid conflict, but Bob returns and demands an apology. One of the drunks even pulls out a gun, but Bob shows no fear. Bald and buff now, Bob easily beats them into submission. Impressed by Bob's toughness, Calvin hops on his motorcycle, and Bob gives him a ride home, and even stays over. The next morning, a team of CIA agents shows up at Calvin's door. A female agent claims Bob is a rogue CIA operative, but when they storm the house, Bob vanishes without a trace. The agents take Calvin to HQ for questioning. Suddenly, Bob calls, and the agents track the signal and rush out. Just as Calvin sighs in relief, Bob appears from behind the door. Without realizing it, Calvin is now caught in the chaos. Bob ties his necktie to the ceiling, lights it on fire, then hands him a gun. Calvin runs out, shouting that the rogue agent is here. Agents flood in. Bob lifts Calvin like a hostage. When the agents close in, Bob fires at a printer ink cartridge mid-air, creating a black smoke cover. They try to escape, but are soon surrounded again. Forced into the situation, Calvin ends up helping Bob. After fending off more agents, Bob throws Calvin onto a mail cart and pushes him to escape. But more agents arrive and trap them. Calmly, Bob puts down his gun and counts down. 3, 2, 1. They jump out the window and land on a giant inflatable doll. Their Uber arrives just in time. Shots are fired, but it's too late. As they drive off, Bob explains everything. 3 weeks ago, a traitor codenamed Black Badger stole access codes for a spy satellite and is planning to sell them online. Bob and his partner tried to stop the sale, but the traitor killed his partner and framed Bob. Now Bob needs Calvin's computer skills to trace the transaction. Just then, an assassin on a motorcycle ambushes them. Bob gets knocked down but recovers quickly, using a metal rod to take out the assassin. Calvin, seizing the chaos, jumps on the motorcycle and escapes. Time has worn him down. He's just a regular guy who doesn't want any part of this. But as soon as he exits the warehouse, a black SUV blocks his path. The CIA female agent hands him a tracking device and tells him to press it if he sees Bob. Back home, Calvin finds his wife talking with a marriage counselor, who turns out to be Bob in disguise. Bob insists again he's innocent. This time, Calvin chooses to believe him. But soon, the CIA agent calls again, threatening Calvin using his wife. Reluctantly, Calvin betrays Bob, and both are taken back to CIA headquarters. Hearing Bob's screams from the next cell, Calvin feels tormented. When he sees a banana on the table, he suddenly makes a decision. He's going to bust Bob out. After rescuing him, Calvin quickly identifies the location of the traitor's planned exchange. Just as the two are wondering how to get there, a Cessna plane appears. Calvin distracts the hangar manager with small talk while Bob steals the plane. With transportation secured, they head to the meeting spot. Bob comes up with a solid plan. He'll impersonate the traitor to intercept the deal, while Calvin keeps watch from above. Suddenly, the female agent appears. Could she be the real traitor? Calvin tries to call Bob, but the call won't go through. He rushes inside to warn him, only to accidentally blow Bob's cover. Left with no choice, Bob pulls a gun on Calvin to maintain the act. As Calvin drops to the floor, another man steps out. It's Bob's supposedly dead former partner. Turns out, he's the real traitor. Bob instantly realizes what's going on but has to bluff, pretending the satellite key is still in his hands. As tensions escalate, CIA agents finally storm the building. Chaos breaks out. With gunfire all around, Calvin has no idea who the good guys are, so he grabs the real key and runs. His move gets noticed by the buyer, who gives chase in a car. Calvin tries to deliver the key to the CIA, but the traitor intercepts him at the bridge. The man pretends to be on Calvin's side. Before Bob can expose him, a fight breaks out. The traitor knocks Bob down and reveals his true intentions. He plans to kill Calvin to erase all evidence. Just as he's about to strike, Calvin pulls off a dramatic move, leaping into a backflip like he did in high school, only to land flat on his back. The traitor smirks, ready to mock him, but it was all a distraction. Bob rises and punches the traitor into the water. The danger finally passes. Bob clears up the misunderstanding with the CIA and even borrows their helicopter to make it to the high school reunion. The female agent, impressed by Calvin's talents, invites him to join the agency full-time. At the reunion, the bully who once humiliated Bob shows up again, but this time Bob doesn't hold back. He knocks him out with one punch. Bob tells the crowd about his painful journey after graduation, losing weight through 6 hours of daily training for 20 years. Then, once again, he removes his shirt in front of everyone, but this time, the crowd erupts in applause.